let's try that. How's that? Better? Can you guys hear me better now? Is that more helpful? Oh, cool. It must be my phone then. So I'm on my iPad, so it might get a little jittery, so I apologize. But here we go then. I'll just wait for a few more people to reconnect again and we'll get started. This is a beginner's class again, by the way, so we're not going to get too difficult into foxes, but we'll get something cool going on. Yeah, okay. Alright, well we got most people back, so we can get started. So remember everybody, the first thing that you're going to need is your pencil and an eraser to get rid of things, you know, like this. Forgive me, I'm kind of holding on to my iPad at the same time as I paint or draw. So, give me some time. But the first thing you're going to want to do is kind of draw like a football, almost. Okay, I'm going to move so I can actually see what I'm doing here. There we go. So you're going to draw a football, basically. Doesn't have to be perfect, but it's just an idea of the head, right? So when you're looking at foxes, they seem to have that kind of thinner top part of their head, and then they get really shaggy all the way down. And if you're watching any of these drawing tutorials, they're all going to be about shapes, because shapes are going to be the easiest way that you draw anything. I promise you, if you break it down into shapes, you're going to have a lot less of a problem trying to draw what you're doing. So yeah, that's our start point. And then if you look at the rest of what you got, you can start with kind of a bowed shape up here. You guys will be able to do this a little better since I'm holding a iPad while I do this, but that's fine. And then I'm going to take that shape and kind of bring it down, and I'm going to bring it into like an upside down sort of teardrop sort of shape. And that's it so far. That's as easy as it's going to get for the top bit. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's not going to be entirely symmetrical the whole time. And that's totally fine. I'm just getting on with what the shapes are going to be. The top of your head, there's going to be the ears. So you're going to do some very thin triangles up top. Again, they don't have to be perfect. They just have to kind of sit like that. And you can kind of see already that something's starting to take shape. When you look at foxes also, you notice that their fur always goes down and then follows what the body shape is. Any sort of animal. So if you're looking up here, this is where there's going to be fur that sticks up. Down here, the fur is going to start going down like that. And then when you get into the ears, the inside's going to be fluffy. So you're going to look at that and just kind of draw little fluffy points in there if you want to. And already we've kind of got a great little start, right? Is everybody kind of getting that part well enough? If anybody has any questions, you're more than welcome to type them out, by the way. then my next part is I'm going to start about halfway down from this teardrop shape. And I'm going to kind of do a diagonal sort of teardrop. So I'm going to move it around like this. And it's kind of a fat one, so you've got two different teardrop shapes going on there. So that's what we've got so far. And I know it looks weird at this point, but I promise you it will start to take shape. The reason I'm doing the teardrop shape here is to start to get the fox's back. And then all this is mostly going to be erased later. If you're looking at the top here where you see the head, this line's going to be really helpful because in between that, I'm actually going to draw another line. And then I'll show you what that does later. So, when you're going down to this part, this is where I'm going to show you how it comes together a little bit. So I've got another circle here. And then I'm going to start at this point on the other side of that teardrop, and I'm going to draw a line right down. And on the other side, the same sort of thing. And try and keep it sort of even, but it comes in a little bit at the bottom. So that's what we've got so far. And again, shapes are everything. It takes a little bit to kind of see where we're going with this, but I know it's going to turn into something. So now at this point, I'm drawing another kind of circular shape. It's almost like a really long oval shape, and it kind of stops where the feet are, and that's going to be his tail. So if you can kind of see what we're doing here, it's starting to come together a little bit, right? But all it is shapes. Now, when I'm looking at this lower line here, that's where I'm looking at for my nose area, and then this area in between here is going to be where my eyes are. Just because all I'm trying to do is make sure everything I'm putting in here as a spot to start with, right? So I'm marking a little spot where my eyes are going to be. I'm going to leave it at that. And then when you look at this bottom part, the nose here, all you have to do is sort of kind of make a square shape at the top and then round it at the bottom. But maybe not as round as that. That's why we've got erasers, right? If you look at foxes' noses, they're quite large. I have a mini schnauzer. His nose is quite large, and it kind of reminds me of that, but that's all right. So that's what we've got so far, and you can kind of see that it's starting to turn into that fox shape we want. Everybody good so far? I'm going to go with silence as a yes. Alright, so now we've got that. We know that foxes' upper lip parts have a tiny little line in there, much like other animals do. Dogs, wolves, anything has a dark line. But they kind of have a little more of a sly look to them, so they're going to be a little flatter than most other upper lip areas. So I'm just going to leave it like that, and I'm going to actually connect them a little bit. You ever notice when you're looking at foxes, they kind of look like they have that weird either smile or really sneaky look to them? It's really helpful when you kind of see what their eyes look like. In this tutorial, you won't really see it too much because I'm not going to get into too much detail with the eyes, but they do look very kind of cat-like almost. And I think that's why they always look so devious. You could even make this a little shorter in between, but I kind of like it there. And then their mouth here is almost like a tiny little block underneath. So, that's what we've got so far. Looks pretty good to me so far. And like I said, this doesn't have to be perfect. It is just trying to learn how you're getting around with your shapes and figuring out your fox's kind of details, right? The other part now is you can start kind of straightening out some areas. So I notice, for me, that foxes kind of look a little shaggy. Ooh, I throw my pencil. So I'm going to get rid of some of this roundness to them. And this is the best way, by the way, guys. When you have your shapes, it's so easy to kind of mold them into what you want. So that's what I'm going to do right here. So now I notice this part gets a little shaggy. And then this part kind of just flows in like that. So I'm not going to take a whole lot of time trying to erase and put things together, but you can see now it's kind of got a little more shape. And the reason I'm doing that is because there's a lot of parts here that are going to have to start happening while we're going. We're going to get through this guy, and I don't know how much time we'll have after for any other of them, or any other ones in different shapes or whichever, but we'll give it a shot. So as I'm going, I'm going to just start erasing some things. So we're going to go ahead and erase that sort of football shape once you've got your eyes in. Don't draw as hard as I am because I'm just trying to get it to show up on screen. But when you start getting rid of those, you can start seeing where your eyes are coming from. I'm okay with them being a little different because, what's a little different? Yeah, so as you take some things away, they start to make a little more sense. So for those of you that are kind of getting confused about the shape thing, like I said, it starts to turn into something, right? For me, I kind of like them a little less puffy and round, so I'm just going to go ahead and fix that a little bit. And I know that they start to get a little bit of their shaping in there, and their color patterns will be able to kind of push around a little. So a lot of the times this part and a little bit of this part is going to be white. And so I'm going to just create some lines on where I think that's going to come in as the white part. So I'm going to bring it in from this part and then down, and then I'm just going to mush it to the center there, because I think that's where I'm going to make the white stop. So I'm going to do that on the same side too. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. Remember, we're dealing with nature, and nature is beautiful without everything being all perfect and symmetrical, even though there's quite a few unexplainable symmetrical things. Anyway, so I'm looking at these points as where that white fur is going to come in, as opposed to all that orange and black. So you can see that's starting to make something. How's everybody else's foxes looking so far? How are you doing with it? I know this is a bit more difficult than the birds, but that's okay. We'll get through it. So I'm just making these marks going down because it always reminds me where that fur is going when it comes to foxes and wolves and things, right? So like I said, the fur always follows the shape of the animal. So when you start getting into, say, this part, and we start defining the back, Fluffy's good. You'll see that that starts to look a little more like that slanted kind of lean to the side that a lot of foxes get. So that'll be his back. I tend to have like this spot and then it turned down a little bit, just because it shows that they have a little bit of shape to them aside from just one singular line. And then the other part is, this is going to be his leg, right? So I'm just going to define that a little bit and get rid of this line. And then probably this line, because that one shape here is going to be the tail. As I get rid of that, and I start kind of giving some shape to this tail here, you can kind of see where I'm getting at with all these circles, right? Thanks. They're kind of actually a little long now, so I gotta go back, but thank you. Alright, so that's my guy so far. Not too shabby, I don't think. When I have a stand for my iPad, this will be a lot easier. And then this side, now that you see this big round part, I'm going to make it a little smaller because I don't think his other side's going to come through that far. So I'm just going to erase the outside and keep the inside line that I kept. And you can see that it's starting to turn into something finally, right? So if your fox turns out fluffy, that's totally okay. Just means it's a healthy fox, I should think anyway. If you're doing any sort of fluff around the top area, like his head, just remember that if you're doing any sort of fur, it comes up and this way for this side, and up and this way for this side. And then any other sort of fur will come out and down. Right? And then fur on the face is a lot shorter than fur on the body, so you just want to watch that. When I'm doing long flicks everywhere, that will definitely show longer fur. If you're doing it on the face, it's gonna look more and more fluffy as you go. But yeah, so I kind of like when their fur kind of comes around like this and that ends up being all the white, so I'm gonna do that. And you can see he's pretty fluffy himself, so I'm happy with it. And again, like I said, you don't have to draw as hard as I am. I'm just trying to make sure it's showing up. When we get to the ears, I'm going to start adding a little bit to them. Foxes are known to have very large ears. And as you notice too, you guys, if I'm drawing, those lines, those shapes are just helping me out, right? So if you're not using the exact shape when you're drawing, that's totally okay. There's a lot of erasing and back and forth when you're doing this. So don't worry too much if your shapes are molding, because that's what they're supposed to do, right? Alright, so I kind of like this sort of tufty look. So I'm going to kind of push that down a little bit. And then when I go up into the fur here, he's going to have lots of fuzzy pieces inside his ear, because foxes have a lot of fur. And again, they'll have shorter fur on their ears, so remember to watch what you're doing with that too. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and color this part in, just because I kind of like seeing things come together a little quicker than maybe they're supposed to. But look what happened as soon as I colored that in. It looked a lot better, didn't it? When you do color it, if you do color it, this part's all going to be white. You can take this part and kind of pull it down so you see the legs that are coming through here. And I'm just going to color it this way because I don't really need to worry about the time. But that's going to be the darker parts, right? That's where his paws kind of start to come in, and we'll work on that after. But as you can see, all the darker parts in the bottom. Right? So he's starting to kind of come into his own a little bit. How are you guys doing so far? Good? Yeah, I kind of like that better. So I'm flattening out the top. I'm going to give him some black bits up here too, because all that inside most of the time is white fur coming out of his ears. So I want to make that a little bit of a difference. again, we're just drawing. It's a nice Sunday evening, so no issues if it doesn't turn out exactly how you want it to. Which I have to learn also, because I always get annoyed with myself when I don't do a good job. But yeah, here we go. He's getting there. Isn't it cool? It happens with all our drawings. You guys are awesome. So, forgot that part. I just color in the paws for now because I'm not really overly interested in too much detail. But it's always super cool to see how things kind of come together. With this guy, I put his eyes over onto the side a little bit, which I'm going to just leave because I kind of like it anyway. But the whole point of doing this live with you guys at the same time is because every single person, every artist that goes through steps and goes through trying to make whatever they're making is going to make mistakes. I don't care who you are. You can be Robert Bateman, and I guarantee you there's something he doesn't like about something, and he's going to fix it and change it. Everybody makes mistakes. Although, I mean, Robert Bateman's had 70 years of experience, and so, I mean, it's probably very hard to see what mistakes he makes. I made his eye really large there. I don't know why I'm making his eye larger, but alright. This is the part where I just cover up the one eye, isn't it? Anyway. So, foxes tend to have, like I said, very sly looking eyes. So, they tend to almost look squinty. And a lot of times they'll have like those kind of that sort of thing going on, but I'm going to leave that because it's a whole other deal. But yeah, so if you're looking at things like where your color's going to go, a lot of times it might even be a little bit like that. And then up. It all just depends on how you want it to come out, really. And I like when they have like really puffy cheek areas, so I'm going to fix that a little bit. It's going to be fluffy, guys. And I'll just leave it like that for a few minutes and make sure everybody else is kind of, hey, thanks. Personality is great. So when you have personality in your drawings and artwork, it's kind of the best. I'm going to leave it like that for now and just let you guys kind of draw a little more. And then I don't have to move too fast for anybody if I am. But this is one of the easier, actually I lied, I'm gonna fix that part a little more. It's one of the easier ways to draw a fox if you're trying to. I'm gonna leave this video up. I accidentally deleted the other one, which I'm really sorry about. But yeah, so I'll leave this one up so you guys can go through it again if you want. I am gonna put up another couple sketches as a photo, and then you guys can maybe try those out if you want. The best thing to do when you see a photo that I've put up and you want to draw it is just try and figure out the shapes, right? Like, remember we did that football shape, and that's how it got where our nose is and where our eyes go, and then the upside down teardrop, and then all the shapes. So you can do that with basically everything. You can, if you want to draw, and you want to draw something that you're not really comfortable with drawing, definitely look at that. And I'm sorry, I would have had the two-way, oh yeah, the little cartoon ones, right? I can show how to draw those too if you want. What I was going to do is actually put up the video from my Procreate thing, so it'll kind of show you a fast-forwarded version of how I did those. But yeah, that's another good point, actually. Those guys made me really happy because they're very cartoony and cute. But I will actually be drawing some other ones on there quite like that. And I mean, I'm always happy to see what you guys have drawn at the end. It actually makes me really happy when you guys send me your photos of what you've been doing. Oh, you make me happy, you guys. So yeah, so here we go. Like I said, this part's just kind of the other part of his body, so I'm kind of struggling with that a little. I don't really like it too much. So I just keep making it smaller and smaller until I decide I like it. So, like, there. I kind of like that better. But that's just a kind of angle. Is anyone having any problems with any parts of the fox, or are we doing okay? Seems like good. If you're having trouble with this part, I don't know if anyone is, you can always kind of look at it this way when it comes in between the eyes. You see how that kind of fits in there? It's a little bit of an easier way to see it as you kind of think about a triangle here or a diamond shape, some sort of thing. It also gives you an idea of where the points of the eyes can go to. I'll leave that like that for now until people are done there. And then the other cool thing is foxes have whiskers. So I'm going to just put some out there. Not that they're in the right spot, but I kind of like them, so I'm going to leave it. Fun fox fact is foxes smell like skunks. So they're smelly, adorable little creatures. There. That should be good. Yeah. So you can keep going as far as you want with this guy. You can always keep adding changes. You can kind of work on the shagginess of his fur. Oh, yes. They, me and a friend of mine went to the Kamloops Wildlife Reserve, and they have 2 foxes in there. And we walked by and we're like, oh, a skunk's near. And then we realized that foxes smell like skunks, so ruined my life right there. Because I love foxes. But, anyway, I like making mine really fuzzy, so I'm going to start adding little flicks of fur here and there. This is his leg, so I'm going to just do a little bit. Nothing fancy. And then I just really love really fluffy foxtails, so. And then I'm going to just create a spot where I know I'm going to put white and then the orange. And then I know that I'm going to make these a little wider because I kind of enjoy that a little better. And I had someone in the last class saying that it was stressing them out about how they weren't able to get the birds the way they wanted, but you guys just remember, please, that this is all for fun and learning and enjoyment. You can see that I'm making a lot of mistakes myself, and I do that a lot. So if you're having trouble or getting stressed out, just please don't. Remember, it's a lovely Sunday evening, and we are enjoying ourselves. And if you think your work is bad, then it's definitely not. I told this to students in the schools the other day when they were saying they had bad artwork, and I said it's not bad, you just don't have that experience yet, right? So it's experience, not being bad at anything. Besides, everybody's got their own styles. And I know there's a couple artists on here that are watching, so if you can attest to the fact that you hate your own artwork sometimes, or you're working on it and you've worked on it for like 8 hours, and then you come back and you're like, I hate it. Because it happens. Everyone does it. And I'm just gonna shade those in because I don't really want to get all detailed in it. But at least you guys can see where we're going. And like I said, if you're going to look at fur, everything from the face, if it's coming up from the nose, it comes up and then out from the top. And then on the sides, it's, ooh, I'm gonna wreck my pencil. From the sides here, the fur is gonna come out and down a bit. And then it's gonna start coming down. So those arrows will be your fur kind of map. Right? Or even out a bit sometimes. So, and then if anything like foxtails, they're gonna be just all over the place, right? But if you see them, like if the foxtail is out like this and it's going this way, then the fur is gonna come out like that, right? So it just depends on what you're doing. So, does anybody else have any questions or? Cool. I promise one of these days when I don't look like the Michelin Man and my face isn't all puffy, I will have the two-way video. Awesome. Has everyone finished their fox, or am I just kind of sitting here boring you? There we go. Maybe he's a little tired. We'll go with that. A little bit of there. Maybe not have that part there. I will be getting to a point where I set up a live spot where I'm painting. If you guys are, oh cool, awesome. If you're interested in watching painting or doing painting tutorials, I'm going to try and get some of those up next so that we can work with that. I'm going to be using very dollar store paint, so it, you know, we all have the same sort of follow up with that, but yeah, that's our fox. You know, you can work forever on it and get as far as you want to, but that's kind of what I was hoping to get to with him. Like I said, if you want to try this again, this will be up on my page. Yeah, that's kind of the easy sort of. I'm just messing around now. And the next one that I'm going to be doing next time is going to be otters. So if you like otters, that'll be a fun one. Yeah, so I'm going to start working down here, fixing up some of this scribbly gook. And then I'm just going to play around, make them look a little fuzzier, because it looks a little naked right now. I don't like it. Not that you have to do this, but I kind of like them when they look scribbled in. And if you're not painting anything, or not painting, wow, coloring, you can do this just to kind of darken the fur around him and make it look more like he's got some orange in there versus just all that white. Remember we talked about it going up and over. go around the eye. Up over again. Go around this eye. Again, this might look really childish, but I'm enjoying it. And then it starts to come and go down. See, if you look back a bit, he's starting to look a little more. So you notice as I'm going on really long fur here, I'm kind of just flicking it out like this, like, right? So the biggest part of your pencil mark should be the bottom, and flick up and let go as you go up. So that's what you're doing when you're making those long ones. When you're doing the little marks, it's literally just kind of like that. So no straight lines like that, just flick. And don't worry too much about where those lines are going. It's all over the place on mine, which is kind of what I'm looking for. So that's him. I'm pretty happy with it. I like it. And then when you're done your guy, you want to sign it. Alright, so, how'd everybody do with that? Did we do okay? I am setting up my patio space outside, so eventually I'll be able to do one-on-one lessons outside, especially for the summertime. So I'll be wanting to do watercolor and sketching classes on our deck, which will be a lot nicer than sitting in. Oh, I'm so glad. How did you do, Tanya? But yeah, thank you guys. And like always, please post or send your pictures of foxes if you are done, and if you want to show anybody how you did. I'd love to see it. But yeah, if there is interest, I will have limited spaces on our deck once that's done for one-on-one classes or for tiny group classes for people that are in the same household. Oh, I like him. I'm good with him. I want to see your guys' foxes, though, for sure. So when I leave this, you guys are more than welcome to post. If you have any comments right now, though, I'd love to hear them. Yeah, thank you, Tina. Hopefully you guys had a good time. I promise, again, the videos will get better as I go. I'm just trying to figure them out. But I will be on here for another 15 minutes or so if anybody any questions. Yes, I'm in Penticton. Love Penticton. Oh, no, thank you. Thank you for coming and drawing with me. I mean, if you want to draw more, you can draw a background. Like, I mean, some people would probably be happy drawing like a moon or something. But I don't know. When do foxes come out? Are they nocturnal? I'm not smart right now. So maybe you want a moon or a sun. Maybe you want some birds from our last class. We could even do some flying dubbies. Gotta love that. I don't know what that is. Looks more like a bug. draw some trees behind him. I'm all about scribble drawing, by the way, so if you guys notice, I'm just doing a lot of scribbles. I was thinking of doing a bit of a background, get some trees in there, maybe another one right there. Yeah, whatever works. Trying to give him some space. So if you're ever wanting to draw trees really fast and scribbly, it's kind of just down and out most of the time. And then pine trees, needles kind of go everywhere, so that's why scribbling really works for me. Yeah. All right. So like I said, we're kind of done with the fox. It didn't take as long as I thought it would. But yeah, here for any questions or comments. Or thank you. Like I'm saying, you guys, like I said, as a beginner class, we're not going to get too crazy with it. So every time I do these, it's literally just to enjoy a small portion of your rainy day. I'm just going through, reading through your comments. This is awesome, guys. And like I said, if you enjoyed this at all, next time I will be doing otters, and hopefully we'll have a better setup for my mic and everything. So it seems like this is the only thing that works on Facebook Live. I just kind of made a little stump for the foot, because I'm not too worried about that. Well, I'm so glad. Thank you so much for joining. Aren't they the best? I'm very excited for the otter one. I absolutely adore otters, and they're so much fun, and there's so many different types. Let me get my calendar. The otter class is May 23rd. So if you guys want to join that, I'm going to create a another event today, and I'll post it, and it'll say the date for that one too, which again is May 23rd. Ah, I love them. And then after that, I am going to be doing Wales, and that's going to be on June 27th. But again, I'll post it all. I did just set up my website, so I'm going to be posting them on there too with the pictures. If you want your photo that you've drawn posted up there, I'm very happy to do so, to see what people, or see the people actually in my classes. But yeah, you're more than welcome to join those classes. I will be setting up everything so you can see the dates, so you can see the time, which is usually Sundays at 4 once a month. So pretty much the last or second to last Sunday on every month. Thank you. I kind of like him too. I'm pretty happy with him. He seems sort of... Maybe not. Yeah, it's all about shapes, you guys. Don't make me sing the song on live Facebook. I think the fox says I need coffee and a lot of coffee. I would go with that. But yeah, like I said, this will be on my page, even though I know my voice sounds very grating right now. But yeah, the arrows for anybody that's just recently joined are just to show the direction of fur when you're drawing. What do you mean? What do I mean? We need coffee. That's what I mean. But yeah. Maybe I'll... Yeah. Don't mind my jibba jabba. But yeah, this is going to be on my page, as I've said 3 times. I'm not sure what you are asking about, Ariane. I'm sorry. Oh, hold on. I got this. There you go. That's what he says. Alright, well, you guys, thank you so much for joining in on another video. And I'll keep it up so you guys can go through it again. You can mute it, I promise. I won't be offended. I wouldn't even know. But yeah. I'm going to end the video, and I'm just, yeah, thank you guys so much for joining. There's always more people than I expect on here, which is just great. And you can also, you know, PM me and tell me if there's anything that you want to see drawn or if you want to follow along with. I'm always happy to do another one. Bye! But yeah, next one's otters. Let me know if there's anything else you're interested in too, though. Always happy to see practice. Practice makes perfect. But yeah, show me your photos, please, because I'd love to see what you did. See all you amazing artist people out there. Anyways, thank you guys so much, and I'll see you guys next time.